Looks like we're live. Okay, this is the Irresolute Cartographer. It is Friday, December 29th, 2023, last stream of 2023. It is at 6 p.m. and currently we're here in Fallout 3 in the Mason district, just outside of the local metro station here. Coming here because the next lore video is going to be covering the Fallout 3 metro system, and I'm going to be doing a full mapping of the system, making sure people know how to get where they need to go within the system, because it's a lot of it's collapsed, a lot of little tunnels here and there that you can go through, and it's something that I have never fully understood in 15 years of the game. So I'm going through it, and I'm creating a proper map here. You may notice I'm not expending any bullets to try to shoot them, because I decided to turn on God mode because the Mason district is filled with super mutants. This character is the one that I used to film in Fallout 3. Oh, did it just crash? It just crashed. Okay, well, regardless, that brings us here to the place where I'm trying to create this map. I'll have to open Fallout 3 again here in just a minute. But you can kind of see what I've started doing here in terms of the actual map here. If it's not obvious, the beige tan-ish area is land, the green is water, and the black is the general inaccessible parts of Washington, D.C. Now, if I click on these things here on the side, you'll be able to see some of the things that I've got here. The zones, for example, these are the accessible areas within the city that you have to use the metro system and tunnels to get to. So we got Arlington National Cemetery, Falls Church, the Mason District, where we just were, Georgetown, DuPont Circle, Chevy Chase, Vernon Square, Tacoma Park, Pennsylvania Avenue, the Mall, Seward Square, and L'Enfant Plaza. We also have, if I click off that, I can show you the exterior to exterior tunnels. These are the county sewer and the Taft tunnels. I'll have to, again, this is not in any way a final map here. This is just starting to get things laid out. We got Mason District tunnels, and you can see here, this is the way you can potentially get into the Mason District via the flooded metro coming here out of this area just to the southwest of the overall blocked area. There's also the Hubris Comics utility tunnel, which comes off of it's a drainage tunnel right next to Wilhelm's Wharf, which is right up here. And then there's also the Falls Church Mason District metro line here that runs between Falls Church and the Mason District. And I'm doing that for every one of these districts, and you can again see that same metro line here, but there's also the Marigold Station that runs up to Grey Ditch right up here, and then there's also the Arlington Falls Church Metro, which connects these two. If I go up next to the Arlington National Cemetery tunnels, this one is not complete yet because there's also a line that runs off to the east, but these are the two easy ones. And let me show you why I have yet to actually add the other one in. I call this one main line currently because it has the most connections off of it. And I need to go through this and figure out exactly how this whole situation works. And basically what we have here, the endpoints are access points. These right here are kind of like junction areas. And you can see that there is just a lot going on here. I got to figure out exactly what's going on with that before I really have this one figured out. That being said, I do have a couple other ones that are actually complete at this point. The Metro Junction, which connects Chevy Chase, DuPont Circle, and Vernon Square. Along with that, there's the Tacoma Park Tunnel. And I say tunnels here in this, but it's actually just the one. Connecting Vernon Square to Tacoma Park. The L'Enfant Plaza tunnels, which connect the mall and just the exterior wasteland to L'Enfant Plaza. And then I think that's just about it in terms of like specific lines like that. Other than that, I've just been working on figuring out, creating basically the little basic assets to kind of put these things together. Let's see. For example, where is that one? And then also individual lines here, like this one right here, which connect Pennsylvania Avenue to the mall. And yeah, there's actually plenty of those little ones like that. But anyway, why don't we go ahead and reopen the game. Hopefully this won't crash again, but you never know. I'm also going to be fully exploring every single one of these tunnels. And if there's collectibles, I'll likely be adding those to the video as well. If we go over here, this is the Hubris Comics structure. Let me turn on the HUD opacity. There we go. Yeah, so this is the strange thing about this is that there is a tunnel here inside Hubris Comics that connects directly to this area north of Wilhelm's Wharf. Wilhelm's Wharf. I mean, I don't know if that's what they actually originally intended for that tunnel, because that is a crazy long tunnel to be connected here to Hubris Comics when it goes all the way. Like again, Falls Church is like right here. And the Arlington National Cemetery area is right up here, so it's kind of crazy that this utility tunnel is as long as it is. I don't really know exactly how to explain that. Along with that, again, I'm going to have to fully, and again, the reason there's like such a sparse bunch of spots on this map is because this character has not been around for much. They're really only here to help me collect footage for various other videos, generally speaking. Along with that, yeah, I've covered things like Grey Ditch with this character, but nothing really too deep into the game. So, let's see. Yeah, so the sewer way station, for example, I just showed you, that also connects with that sewer main line. Then I'm going to have to put some specific things in there, like the Taft tunnels, for example. They don't... I mean, that's really something that's actually very story-specific, in that it brings you over to... from the Jefferson Memorial over to right in front of the Pentagon or the Citadel. And it's really only accessible when you're actually going through the story. Otherwise, it's not really something that you're going to know about. Let's see. Again, yeah, this character has not been almost anywhere in the city. I think I have another character that potentially has, but I don't know. Let's see. Because this character, yeah, only level 5, which means probably one of these other ones where I've got level 14, perhaps, that guy. Let's try that one out. But again, the whole goal here is simply to make it more obvious how to get around the city. Let's see here. Okay. Take a look at the map this guy has. Okay, yeah, there we go. This is how I filmed some of the interior parts of the city here. Now, we got DuPont Circle here. That one's pretty obvious because the large circle you can see here on the map. Again, there's also Vernon Square, which, why don't we go ahead and test out the map that I've currently created so far. Oh, he's probably going to die unless I go ahead and do God mode. Going up a Super Mutant Master at level 14 is not really an advisable thing to do unless I have God mode on. Okay, let's take a look at the map here. Okay, so we need to actually get to... That's why I know about this. So that's why this character's been here, is because the Vault-Tec headquarters is here. And that's the other thing I'm going to make sure to mention is specific locations in these squares that you can get to via the metro tunnels. Like the mall has the museums, and also along with that the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, the Capitol. And I'll of course also talk about how places like the Capitol connect... between the mall and Seward Square, even if itself is not like a tunnel or a metro system or anything like that. If I'm just trying to show you all this stuff, I may as well just kill these guys. Because otherwise that's just taking time. Yeah, this is also a crater that I filmed for my video on the craters and the 3D fallouts. Let's see. And again. Okay. That's just a lot faster. Alright. Heading for another metro tunnel here. Actually, okay. So I've got a couple of maps here. And just for, what's it called? For the point of transparency here, this overall map here, the general layout here, is actually something I got from the original strategy guide. Now, again, I'm trying to simplify this thing, make it easier to follow. In the same way that for the pit, people came up with the general overall top-down view of the map with all the 3D artifacts that come from the way that these maps are actually built out, to where there's like things intersecting and nothing looks right, and layers on top of layers and stuff like that. In the same way, I'm trying to make this thing a little bit simpler to see. So, like, let's see here. If we go in here, you can see here that I've actually got specific tunnels connected via specific things. So, yeah, I need to go to the Vernon East station of this, which I think I've gone significantly away from. I think it's closer to the Vault-Tec headquarters. But again, the whole goal here is simply to try to make this whole system easier to understand. And yeah, it's been the game's been out for 15 years, and so I know this isn't really a hot topic in a lot of people's minds. But at the same time, I do think that we've been hearing a lot of rumors about a Fallout 3 remake. And if that is something that is actually going to happen, then likely what we're going to end up seeing, here we go, is that this kind of thing will actually become useful again. Now, obviously, the graphics will be wildly out of date, I would hope at least. Just because I would hope at the very least that they would, if they're going to do some sort of Fallout 3 remake, that they would be updating the graphics of the game more so than anything else. I would hope that they're not updating the gameplay too much, because I wouldn't want the feel of the game to change, but it wouldn't hurt for things to look a little bit less like 2008. Let's see here. I'll just keep running past them. So again, testing the map that I have. Went into Vernon Square East. We're not going through these tunnels. I will also mention the specific enemies you find in the tunnels. In this case, super mutants and Mirelurks. And along with that, so like Hubris Comics, Service Tunnel is full of feral ghouls. I'll of course talk about stuff like that. Let's see. Yeah. And my main goal with this in the long run here, like along with, I'm going to basically end up creating 3 types of maps. One of which you've seen. One of which is going to be in specifically more detail, as in like which specific stations you have to go through, which is kind of the last little thing I showed you. And then along with that, I'm going to be putting together the final map, which is something that looks a bit more like this, but actually represents how these things actually connect. Now that right there, okay. I remember there being a super mutant behemoth in here somewhere, so I wasn't sure if that was what that was. But no, it just seems to be the cars are exploding here. But yeah, so again, looking to create 3 maps, and along with that, give you detailed information on... Okay, so something's trying to kill me over here. Ah, it's those guys. Okay. I knew they were down there. I didn't know one of them had a missile launcher. Anyway, though, again, I'm going to be trying to create a detailed series of maps that will be giving you the information you need to get around PC. And again, hopefully, if they do a remake, this won't become obsolete. I would really hope that they wouldn't change the layout of the map and in doing a remake. I would very much hope that that's just a graphical thing, and maybe something to bring the gun system up to at least Fallout New Vegas levels of detail. Because yeah, Fallout 3 definitely has of the modern 3D Fallouts, Fallout 3 definitely has the worst guns, specifically because there's very little. In fact, I don't think there's any gun modification if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, it would be nice to actually have these things working properly, or have these things not working properly. Be brought up a little bit more up to date, even if it's just 2010 rather than 2008. Oops. But yeah, let's see. I don't know if anybody has any comments or any questions. I could try to answer all that kind of stuff. It's mostly just going to be me working with, like, obviously I'm going to do on-the-ground exploration to make sure that these tunnels all connect and everything like that. Make sure I understand some of the potential connections, like that large-scale connection that seems to run all the way up through this part of the city like this. But other than that, it's going to be just a lot of map drawing. Hey, I blame Chrissy. Good to see you. Hope you're having a good week and a good Friday. Good end of the year. But yeah, so it's going to be a lot of map drawing. I'm hoping that this won't take more than another week and a half or so. I want to try to push through this thing as quickly as possible, because when there's a lot of maps to draw, it can really drag on if I spend too much time drawing the maps, and just it's a bit, there's perfection, and then there's just getting the data that you actually need, and I don't want to have this thing turn into like another month-long episode, like drawing the maps in the pit did, just because that was such an extensive process there. But let's see. Happy holidays to you, Brandy. Hope you are also having a good end of the year. Hope everybody here has a good beginning to 2024 in the next few days. Actually, that's Monday. So, okay, so the general areas here, and again, you've seen them on the map as well, but I'm trying to remind myself, so this is as much for y'all as it is for me here. DuPont Circle, there's Georgetown, Chevy Chase, there's Vernon Square, there's Tacoma Park, there's Pennsylvania Avenue, there's the Mall, Seward Square, and L'Enfant Plaza, which I'm going to make sure I'm not mispronouncing that, because, I don't know, it just feels weird to say that like that. And again, the overall goal here, simplicity and understanding, and making it so that the metro system of DC, which is so completely collapsed and filled with monsters, is a little bit easier to understand and traverse. Man, oh man. Alright, playing New Vegas for the first time, that's pretty great. Yeah, and again, I'm sure that there are people who have never played Fallout 3 just because they grew up and got to the point where they were able to play these games around 2015 when they started playing Fallout 4 for the first time, or maybe even just recently. I'm having to come to terms with the fact that like turning 18 at the same time that Fallout 3 came out means that there are people out there that, you know, were, what, 3 years old at the time when Fallout 3 came out, so they're just now getting to the point where they can play these sorts of things. So yeah, hopefully this information will be useful to both people coming back to the game and people enjoying the game for the first time. Because Fallout 3 has a lot to it, and I think the metro system is one of the more interesting areas because it's so intricate in terms of how it connects these things, and it's also weirdly accurate in terms of its aesthetic. I don't know how many of y'all have been to DC before. I've been twice in my life. The first time I was just a kid in between, I think, kindergarten and first grade, so I've got, you know, some memories of that, but really, when I went to go visit it last time, I had actually played Fallout 3 for the first time, and it was just really interesting to see just how much the metro stations actually look like the other metro stations. Oh yeah, that is definitely something else that would be helpful with a Fallout 3 remake, is Fallout 3 on the PC, even through Steam. I mean, you have to do weird stuff to get it to work properly. I think it's some stuff to go with the way Xbox Live works now versus the way it used to work, and that they don't really mesh well together, and the way that Bethesda and Microsoft worked out how Fallout 3 would work with the games for Windows and stuff like that. Okay. Playing from South Africa. Alright. So yeah, and I don't think I've actually experienced the same problems with Fallout New Vegas as I have with 3 in terms of getting it to work. I'm not really sure entirely why that is. It really must have been just when Fallout 3 came out, there was a specific Windows, like an Xbox Live sort of a component to the game that just really does not work well with current Windows. Wow, that is a high rad count. If I was not, if I did not have God mode engaged, this would not be good to be near this. Yeah, this is an American bomb that crashed on its way to its target. Yeah, New Vegas just works for me too. I don't know, and again, I think that it's the Windows Live or Xbox Live or whatever you want to call it that they did with trying to connect Xbox or not Xbox PC games into the whole overall Microsoft ecosystem that causes these problems. Because I feel like I remember the process of getting Fallout 3 to work involved disabling games for Windows. And that's something that they weirdly have not fixed on their end. It's something that you still have to go in and do yourself. Luckily, there are people that have posted guides on Steam on how to do that. Because otherwise, I mean, this game would not be playable. And I mean, again, it is generally speaking not playable in its current state on the Steam store. I don't really know how they get away with that. I think mainly because people have come up with guides for it, but that's kind of ridiculous. Okay, cool. Yeah, again, if you can get 3 to work, I'd highly recommend it. It's the first one I played, and I remember when I had pre-ordered it, when they had announced it, and then I went to, I think it was Target, and I found this CD pack that was a combination of Fallout 1, 2, Tactics, and Brother to Steel, and I played a little bit of 1 at that point, but like really I was looking so forward to Fallout 3 because of the way the game looked. I mean, this was this is pretty good for its time, and I had really enjoyed Oblivion, and so I was seeing like this sci-fi shooter based in the same engine as Oblivion. I was like, oh man, I gotta get into this, and so I had a lot of fun with Fallout 3. And I've done some coverage of Fallout 3, but I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more going forward. Same thing with 4 in Vegas. And of course, whenever 76 adds additional content, I'm covering that as well. I still have a few videos to make on 76 with the existing content. Along with that, I need to cover the new content that's come with Atlantic City. But other than that, I would say that most of my videos going forward in the Fallout universe are going to be covering the older games. Simply, and again, this could change in the next year because it does look like they're actually going to start adding more content to Fallout 76 more quickly, which is good because that's been one of the areas where it's been most efficient is in new content. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're going to make a live service game, you need to make it a live service game. You got to keep adding more stuff. Simply having little holiday events that basically recycle old content is not enough for that kind of stuff. But it does really look like they're going to be doing that. In fact, it looks like they're going to be opening Vault 63. And then along with that, it looks like they're expanding the map. And I'm hoping, from some of the things that I've seen, it's looking to me like I might be right about the Enclave running a weather manipulation operation out of Mount Weather. With Mount Weather, if you're unaware, being basically it has multiple uses. It's a real world site that I would likely think that would be in Fallout universe because they've got things like Raven Rock, which is a real world site, which you can find in Fallout 3. And there's, of course, the White Spring Bunker, which is based on the Greenbrier Bunker, which, again, real world site. Fallout. So there's basically, I would say that there's a split in the Fallout community regarding 76. There are the people who either played it and hated it at the very beginning and have never gone back, or they're the people that played it in the beginning and kept on playing it, and they've been kind of growing over time with the people that didn't play it in the beginning and are starting to play it now, and they're seeing that the game is adequate now. I would say that. And my whole thing with 76 is that the lore has always been great. It's that the game was very buggy and had just a lot of issues to it when it first launched. But yeah, I would say that if you're looking at the game in terms of the lore that it adds to the world, I think it's excellent. And again, there were simply some very serious issues with the game when it first launched. The stability was not there. And when you're making an online game, the stability has to be paramount, and it was not. what was I going to say? Oh, Mount Weather, though. So it looks like they're potentially going to be adding Mount Weather. And this is, again, entirely my speculation based on the image that they released regarding future content, and based on the fact that they've added a weather station, which you can add to your camp in-game in Fallout 76, which stabilizes the weather around your camp, specifically making it sunny. And again, given that Fort Atlas in Fallout 76, formerly known as the Atlas Observatory, was a weather control station being constructed by the United States government, well, funded by the United States government, and that they simply abandoned it shortly before the war, despite the fact that it had all the appearances of working. It seems to me, and I've been speculating on this for a while, that Mount Weather is going to be in the game and is going to be an operational weather control site that the Enclave is going to be operating, because it is so stepping back again, it's a real world site. It is the head of, I think it's the headquarters for FEMA. I could be wrong on that, but I do know that it's also the operational center for the National Emergency Broadcast System. And in game, I think that it would just be kind of perfect for Mount Weather to be the relocated location of a weather control machine from that or not relocated, but effectively reconstructed weather control machine that the American government, read Enclave, was operating in Appalachia just before the bombs. And given that the Brotherhood of Steel now operates that prototype of the weather control machine, it would be kind of perfect for that. Let's see. So I definitely like New Vegas, but I think that every one of the games has something that they offer. I think I would say in terms of story, I'm more of a fan of New Vegas than something like Fallout 4, for example. But definitely it's the case that Fallout 4 adds interesting lore to the world as well, and along with that, definitely improves the shooting aspect of the game. Now, obviously, despite the fact that Fallout has shooting in it, it's not like Call of Duty or something like that, where the entire point of the game is fighting. So I completely get the fact that Fallout 4 having much better shooting does not make it a better Fallout game. It simply makes it a better game in general in terms of the combat. But yeah, again, I think every one of the games has something that they offer. And I wouldn't say that I even have a favorite Fallout game. Let's see. Yeah. So you were in DC playing Fallout 3. I do love the stories of them doing the research for Fallout 3 and walking around government sites, taking pictures of stuff and having security come up and be like, what's going on here? Oh, don't worry. We're just trying to create a version of this in a virtual world where this has been blown up. Yeah. My main problem with the more modern Fallouts is that they don't seem to have progressed enough in the post-war. I think that there's been some interesting work that people have done in terms of mods where the nature has come back. People have done mods of Fallout 4, for example, where basically everything's overgrown. And I would think that that would be a much more real option as to what would be going on in that area. I mean, like, obviously we're talking about completely different situations here, but we are still talking about somewhere where there's been nuclear destruction. And so if we look at places like Chernobyl, now it's obvious that was not a bomb, and it's also something that's been encased in concrete and steel for a long time, but the area was heavily irradiated for a time after the reactor exploded, and it's now a natural area that has like a bunch of species in it that you don't find in many other places in Europe, simply because urban expansion has basically wiped out their original habitats. And I would like to think that while there would still be areas that would be like this, where it's, you know, completely destroyed, just rubble, and the area is too dangerous in terms of radiation for much plant life to come back, I would like to think that there would be areas outside of cities and hot zones that would absolutely be just overgrown with plant life and things like that. And definitely one of the big mistakes with Fallout 76 was using the same tile set as Fallout 4. to where you've got structures that effectively look the same, despite the fact that it's 25 years after the war, rather than Fallout 4, where it's 200 something years, 210 years after the war. That doesn't make any sense at all. It's the same sort of thing that I don't like, where you can find fully intact bodies where these people are supposed to be dead for 25 years, and it's like, not 25 in most cases. We're talking more so something like 10, 5, 6 years, something like that. But it's like, this doesn't make any sense. I understand that you wanted to make this thematic in terms of like, oh, I just found the body of this person who I'm listening to on a holotape, but their body should not still be there. Even if you go with some sort of interpretation of things where it's like, oh, the microbiome of the planet has been so reduced that decomposition is reduced dramatically. It's like there's still all kinds of wild animals in the Fallout universe, especially in Fallout 76, that are roaming around that would definitely have eaten those corpses by now. So it's not at all realistic that I'm finding their intact body here. So yeah, that's really my main criticisms of Fallout 76, is the horrible stability when the game first launched, and also simply the fact that they did not put enough effort into making an original tile set for the game, given that the game is set 25 years after the war. That's true. We've never seen global destruction such as that in the Fallout universe, but at the same time, to quote Dr. Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park, life finds a way. And yeah, I mean, the simple truth of the matter is, you look at where it is that plants find life, or find places to live in the real world, and they grow inside cracks in cement. I mean, you look at, and there's even opportunities for them to create like crazy post-apocalyptic fauna and flora, like the reactor core of Chernobyl, for example. My understanding is there's a form of mold that grows in the reactor core of Chernobyl that actually feeds directly on radiation, and it's only found there in the reactor core of Chernobyl. I've actually I was thinking about this a while back, where I was like, they need to use that mold to create a lichen that they could use to potentially produce food and oxygen on spaceships, because you could have this thing exposed to potentially to cosmic rays and stuff like that. And I don't know exactly if this would react the same way as it does to the radiation coming off of the Chernobyl reactor. But that it could potentially be the case that it converts radiation ambiently found in space into an energy source for a lichen that would you would be combining something like it'd be in the same way lichens are. I'm trying to remember the exact structure of it here. It's like a fungus and a plant basically come together, and so you have the ability for this thing to use resources in a strange way. So you could have the solar radiation effectively power this plant, again a lichen, to create either oxygen, or even just have it so that you grow it this way, and you turn grind the stuff up into a paste and mix it in with your food to extend your food supply, assuming it's edible, that is. So I would think that plants would likely evolve to exist in a high radiation environment. So. Anyway, though, anybody have any questions they want to ask? I'm gonna otherwise probably close things down here and get back to map drawing, because there is a lot of that to do. Again, I want to try to get this thing out as quickly as possible, because I don't want to linger on it for a long period of time. And I do need to get into making other lore videos. I don't want this to be the sort of thing where this one topic basically takes over the entire month of, well, the second half of December and the entirety of January. I want to get this thing out by halfway through the month of January. Like, why don't I take a look at the calendar real quick and try to actually set myself a date for this thing. Let's say try to get this thing out by January 12th. Not the coming Friday, but the Friday after that. I think that would be a good time to try to get this stuff out there. Again, what I'm going to be trying to do here is 3 maps. One that is three styles of map. One that shows you direct connection points, one that shows you in detail the specific stations you need to take in order to get from point A to point B, and then a third map that is effectively a stylized metro map, such as this, that just shows you the way the actual metro system works, rather than this where there are entire stations where you can't seem to get to. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So the interesting thing here, a couple of stations. So some of these stations are here. For example, Marigold we know is here. Plots does not seem to be. Arlington is. Falls Church is. Franklin is basically, my understanding of this one is that it's a secondary area accessible on the line between Falls Church and Arlington, I think. Falls Church and the Mason District. Like there's a tunnel kind of connection there where you can get to this, but it doesn't connect to the surface. Minutemen is not available. The weird thing is, like, this by itself is obviously also a stylized map because L'Enfant Plaza is over here. So I don't know. It's interesting. This map is not accurate because not only are there stations that aren't here, but that's explainable in game as the lines have literally just collapsed. You can no longer get to these stations anymore. But for example, we've just been through the Tacoma and Abernathy stations, or at least there was a sign pointing to the Abernathy station, but I think it actually came here out of Vernon Square. So, yeah, but Friendship and Tinleytown, those lines are still existent. I don't think the FDR Island one is. I think that FDR Island is actually right here where the Anchorage War Memorial is. In real life, there's an island there with an FDR monument on it. I've been learning more about the sites that I've been covering as I've been making videos on them. I know a lot more about West Virginia than I ever did in the past. I know more about Boston than I ever did in the past, and I know more about Vegas and Washington, D.C., because I've literally just been spending time staring at maps of these places and been finding out stuff about them. Something I do need to figure out is, because I do know Falls Church is an actual town in Virginia. But it's farther west than it appears in game, because it's like right here in game, but in reality it's somewhere like over here. While Arlington National Cemetery is right here. But the one thing I was really not sure about was the Mason District, which I can't tell if that's a real place or not. I did find a Mason Park, which is somewhere like over here in reality. So I'm going to have to look into that one a little bit more, but most of these do seem to actually be real places or places that I have at least heard of. Chevy Chase, for example, I know is a location in DC, specifically because I was like, wait, Chevy Chase the comedian? And it's like, no, there is actually a Chevy Chase, Washington, D.C. neighborhood. And there is a DuPont Circle. So yeah, obviously I'm going to be looking into these locations as well, just to make sure I know the real world story about them as well. It's going to be top level overview of these sites, because obviously if I'm going to be covering the entirety of the metro system, and not just the metro system, but basics on these districts that you can connect to using the metro system, then I cannot go into a ridiculous level of detail and still produce a video that is easily consumable. And so what I'm going to do with this, as I did with a pit, is I'm both going to create the video covering the content, but I'm also going to also separately release the maps on a Google Drive that I'll place a link in the description of the video. So, unless anybody has any questions, I will close things out here in a minute or so and get back to work. So, and if nobody has any questions, then I'll just simply say, and regardless, either way, I hope you all had a good 2023. I hope you all have a good weekend and a good start to 2024. It's going to be interesting to see how this next year goes. This last year, I had my biggest video that I've ever produced. That was on Starfield. I'm not even sure what that video is up to in terms of count. It's crazy though. One video got me over 1,000 subscribers and let's see, there it is, 180,000 views. It's crazy. That is more views than I've gotten on anything else. And the crazy thing too is, like, I've produced subsequent Starfield lore videos, and they have gotten close to 1,000 views, but that's it. So I don't know if the just general interest in Starfield lore has fallen off, or if people are not interested in my videos on that stuff. But regardless, I look forward to producing more videos on Fallout content, Starfield content, and sharing them all with you. So again, I hope you all have a good weekend and a good start to your next year. Thank you, Evelyn Prissy. Good to talk to you as well, Brand E. And I hope you, again, just have a good weekend. Have a good start to the next year. See y'all next time.